Hey guys, it is Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the impact of having abusive parents growing up. And in the last video, I talked about what those 15 indicators of having an abusive parent are, but in this video I want to highlight the impact that it has on you as an adult, and I will redefine for you in this video what I mean when I say abusive, because I think the term is so broad that it could sound like I'm talking about those parents who beat you or those parents who sexually molest you, and I'm talking about a much broader umbrella of parents. So let's just go ahead and jump in. So thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For all of you who are subscribed and participating, thank you so much. And for those who are new, I encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can stick around with us and be a part of our growing and validating community. The benefits for you in today's video is that I'm going to highlight the 7 ways that you have been impacted by an abusive parent. So if you're new to my channel and you don't know who I am, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Tamara, and I'm an internationally licensed and certified mental health professional with a specialization in trauma therapy. So I see children, I see teens, I see families, and I also see adults who are struggling with traumatic childhoods or something traumatic that has happened in their lives as an adult. So you're going to get a lot on this channel. In order to find that out, I encourage you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and stick around with us. So let's go ahead and jump in. So in the last video, I talked about the 15 indicators that your parent may have been abusive to you. And let me just define what I mean by abuse. Here's the actual definition of child abuse. My definition of child abuse, which is taking into consideration this definition over here, is a child abuser is an individual who is insecure, they are unhealthy, they are emotionally immature, they put their needs before everybody else's needs, and they want nothing to do with the role of parenthood. That is child abuse to me, because a child has to feel safe. A child has to feel wanted and needed. A child has to feel loved. They have to have their basic needs met, and they have to have their psychological and emotional needs met. In order for all of that to happen, that parent has to be stable. And parents who are unable to be stable, emotionally, psychologically, financially, or even be mature, they are basically emotionally and psychologically abusive. Physical abuse and sexual abuse is in there as well. But I'm talking mainly about this broad umbrella of parents who feel that they could just do whatever they want to do. Forget the kid I had or the children. I'm going to do what I want to do. Those kind of parents are abusive. So how do they impact you? So in the video that I did, I talked about the 15 indicators that they are abusive and that you may have grown up under them, but how does it affect you? Well, the number one way that I think it affects you is by causing relational instability for you as an adult. If you don't have that early experience of being with your parent and recognizing what unconditional love is and recognizing what boundaries are and respect and care and concern, then you're not going to know how that is in adulthood. Now, there are some children who have fantastic survival skills. They're very resilient and they don't really need that parent, and they can become loving, healthy, wonderful people. But there are also children who need those parents. Children are basically they're not blank slates, but you can consider their development to be dependent upon how the parent rears them, treats them, loves them, cares for them. And when that child lacks that and they have no other avenue to get it from, then that child is going to try to figure out life on their own as they develop and they grow up. And so then you become relationally unstable yourself because you don't know how to perform and to act and to maintain a healthy relationship. So that's number one. Number two is there's fluid boundaries. Now, there's a variety of boundaries, and I'm not going to go over those in the video because that could be a video in and of itself. But the two most important roles for boundaries that I like to talk to my clients about is fluid and rigid boundaries. Rigid boundaries means that you're so firm that you won't bend on your boundaries, right? You don't want to be intimate in your relationship because you just find it uncomfortable. So you keep this bubble around you, right? You're very rigid. or your boundaries are too fluid. You allow any and everybody into your space to be emotional with you, to be sexual with you, to be physical with you. You have no appropriate boundaries. Healthy, appropriate boundaries have a mixture of being rigid and fluid and, transforming over time depending on the situation. When that doesn't happen, you're most likely going to have a very difficult time making it through life. So fluid boundaries, that's number 2. Number 3 is little to no insight into your emotions, into your thoughts, into how you're processing things. There's little to no insight. You have to have insight in order to recognize when you're doing something wrong, in order to recognize when you're doing something right, in order to recognize when something needs to change, and in order to recognize there's other people in this world around you who need from you and they desire things from you, right? If you don't have insight, then you can't really place yourself appropriately in your life. You're going to always hide, or you're going to always be in the wrong place at the wrong time, or you're going to always fail. So you have to have insight so that you can track yourself and engage healthily, or in a healthy fashion, I should say, in your life. So having insight is essential. So that is, what is that? Number 4. Number 5 is, what some scientists and what I sometimes call pseudo maturity. So you may become a pseudo adult, meaning you don't really have the skills to adult, but you're going to throw yourself into it because that's all you've got, right? You don't have anybody else to help you. So you're going to have to force yourself to grow up. You're going to have to force yourself to mature. You're going to have to force yourself to figure out and manufacture what adulthood is. And sometimes that's a major, major fail, right? Because some people think that if I sleep around, I'm grown. If I prostitute, I'm grown. If I sell drugs, I'm grown. If I rob a bank, I'm grown. If I can pay my own bills, I'm grown. And that's not all there is to it, right? I mean, we know that. Those of us who are healthy adults, we know that. So you become a pseudo adult. You're pushed and rushed into the future, and you do it yourself based on the fact that you need to survive, because this is just who you've become because of a parent that didn't raise you right, or that's unstable or unhealthy. All right, so pseudo maturity. The next is post-traumatic stress. As an adult, you're likely to have post-traumatic stress or PTSD. Basically central nervous system dominance. That's basically what it is. Your heart rate goes up, your thoughts race, your emotions are all over the place, right? Sometimes you have panic attacks, sometimes you have an inability to sleep. There may even be sleep paralysis. There may even be nightmares and night terrors, right? Flashbacks of an abusive situation. So post-traumatic stress is a given. You grow up with a parent who's not healthy, who's abusive, post-traumatic stress is a given. All right. And last but not least, you're basically very, very needy for love, right? And you may search for that love wherever you can find it. And the hard part about that is that love can come in many shades. It can come in many areas, many avenues. But is it healthy? Is it safe? Is it okay? And that's the question that, most individuals who are adults who have had abusive childhoods or traumatic childhoods fail to recognize. The question is it healthy? Is it right? Is it appropriate? Is it timely? Right? You need it. We all need it, but some need it more than others. Some need to feel loved and be loved more than others. But the question that always gets overlooked with these particular adults is it the right time? Is it the right place? Is this the right person? And so that's when the individual ends up in bad relationships, domestic violence relationships. They end up in bad marriages, and they end up dead or sometimes raped because they don't know how to determine whether this love is an actual love or if this is a temporary love or an inappropriate love, right? So these are just a few ways, guys, that having parents in this way can impact you. And I think, you can further this research just by Googling the topic. And I'm going to actually put a book here that I think is a really good book. This video is not promotional, neither is it sponsored, but I think that this is good for educational purposes. So that's why I put the book right here. I did do a book review on this, and you can find that in the description box below. It was a couple of years ago when I used to work for psychcentral.com, and I did book reviews for for them. But yeah, I encourage you to continue to do research into this and learn a little bit more. It's important for you to understand what has happened to you. It's important for you to understand in what ways has it impacted you. So thank you so much for being here today, guys. To watch this video, I encourage you to give it a thumbs up if it was helpful, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around. I will see you in the next video. We're going to continue these conversations. I'll see you soon.